Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The Taliban have declared that the war in Afghanistan is over after taking control of the presidential palace in Kabul. It has taken the group just over a week to seize control of the country after a lightning offensive which forced the government to collapse and President Ashraf Ghani to flee. There were shocking scenes at the airport in Kabul as citizens rushed to the terminal in an attempt to escape. And total chaos on the runways. Desperate Afghans hanging on the landing gear of a US aircraft as it tried to take off. Dozens of helicopters have been flying over Kabul as the international community rushed to evacuate embassy staff and citizens. Many Afghans fear a brutal return to the regime of the 1990s, with public executions and girls being banned from school. The UN has urged the group to exercise restraint. Hospitals in Haiti have become overwhelmed as they treat thousands of people injured in an earthquake that has left at least 1,297 dead. Saturday's 7.2 magnitude earthquake has also left at least 5,700 people injured in the Caribbean nation. More than 13,000 homes have been destroyed, suggesting that the number of dead could rise further. Footage on social media showed residents desperately trying to pull victims from ruined buildings. At least 70 people have been killed as emergency workers continue to search for 47 others missing after flash floods swept through the Turkish Black Sea provinces. The floods brought chaos as torrents of water destroyed buildings and bridges. Shocking footage shows dozens of cars and debris swept along streets. More than 2,000 people have been evacuated from affected areas. 4 Palestinians have been killed in clashes during an Israeli raid to arrest a suspect in the occupied West Bank. The incident occurred in the city of Jenin, where Israeli special forces, disguised as Palestinians, came under heavy fire from a large number of attackers while on a mission to detain a militant. A Palestinian news agency said 4 men were killed and that a 5th was seriously wounded. Malaysia's Prime Minister and his cabinet have resigned after just 17 months in power amid infighting within his coalition and a resurgent wave of COVID-19. In a televised address, Muhyiddin Yassin said he had decided to step down because he had lost his majority in parliament and that he hoped that a new government would be formed soon. However, the palace said King Al Sultan Abdullah did not believe an election should go ahead due to the coronavirus. The President of the Democratic Republic of Congo has authorized US special forces to help the Congolese army battle an armed group linked to ISIS. The Allied Democratic Forces, which the United States had deemed a terrorist group, is considered the deadliest of dozens of armed militias that roam eastern DCR. The US forces will boost the Congolese army's fight against ADF in the national parks of Virunga and Garamba. The mission will last several weeks. Zambia's outgoing president, EDGAR Lungu, has conceded defeat in the presidential election.
I want to thank you, Zambian people, for giving me a great opportunity to be your president. I will forever cherish and appreciate that authority you vested in me.
Mr. Lungu had earlier hinted that he would challenge the results of the election after accusing the opposition of fraud. Zambian opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema has been declared the winner of last week's contested presidential election. It was Mr. Hichilema's 6th attempt at the presidency, and he won by a landslide. And finally, a herd of wandering elephants in China have reached the final leg of what has become a world-famous journey home. For the past 17 months, after straying hundreds of kilometers from their nature reserve, the animals are just days from reaching their destination. More than 25,000 security staff tracked and fed the elephants on their epic journey, while more than 150,000 people were evacuated along the migration route. Even now, experts remain baffled by their behavior, but some believe the elephants left to find more food. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.